Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Growing Happy Babies Birthworkers interview series. In this podcast directory, I make sure that you have the easiest possible time deciding which wonderful birth supporter is right for inviting into your family's journey. All the potential members of your essential prenatal and postpartum village are assembled right here in the Growing Happy Babies directory. Doulas, midwives, prenatal and infant bodywokers, lactation consultants, and so much more. I'm Adina Kopinski, board-certified lactation consultant and fellow mom. Together, we transition more easily into motherhood. Let's grow some happy babies together. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Growing Happy Babies Birthworkers interview series. Today, I am so honored to be chatting with Lea Reichel, doula extraordinaire. Welcome, Lea.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
I'm so happy to be chatting together today. And I want to dive right in so that all the wonderful mothers who are listening today can start to get a feel for who you are and what you do and what you offer to, the birth community that we both live in. So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into being a doula?
I'd love to. So how did I get into this field? Basically, with having my first child by myself. I actually was in academia. I worked on my PhD, and I became pregnant. And I grew up with the stories about birth that it's just something horrible you have to get through. And then, it's worth it because you get a baby, but basically, it's really bad. And I think I had this intuition that maybe maybe we can have good experiences, and maybe it's a wonderful thing to do to birth a baby. And then I started studying a lot as a mom preparing for birth. So still far away from being a birth professional, but I got super, super fascinated by the whole topic. I practice a lot with my husband, a lot of relaxation techniques, positions, all kind of things, a lot of information. I'm very much into research. I started reading research about birth and saw this difference between what's happening in hospitals and what actually evidence tells us what's good for moms and good for babies and for families. So I got very fascinated by it. And Baruch Hashem, I had a beautiful, amazing birth. I had interventions, and I felt like I chose them for myself. It were the right decisions at the right time. I knew how to advocate for myself. Together with my husband, I had an amazing birth team. It was such an amazing experience. And then I was like, okay, I think I was just to everybody. And then I thought, okay, I'm done with it. I had my first. So this was just personal, but it wasn't. I continued reading. I continued studying. It's just birth was just the new world for me. So after a while, I was like, okay, I should do something with it. And I became a birth educator. I studied hypnobirthing and then created my own course with I take from a lot of different things. I think women need to learn different things to find out what they actually need, because there's a lot of wonderful things that you can do to prepare, and one thing is right for the one person and one thing for the other, and you need to fight. So however, to make it short, I know I have to keep it short. I met women who went through experiences of sexual violence in my courses. And I had the feeling I didn't know how to support. I knew with my background in gender studies, history, and so on, that I knew it has an influence on birth. I had the theoretical background to know about it, but I felt I didn't know how to support women in these kind of situations.
Yeah.
So I studied BOT, which is birth-oriented thinking. It's a course. I did both the basic course and the certification. It's around a year where you study trauma-informed care, birth processing, like helping women who went through sexual assault, violence experiences. Also in general, emotional support in the field. There's wonderful lactation consultants also, by the way, who also study that.
Wow.
So I studied that. And well, then I got even deeper in it, and I was like, okay, I this is it. Birth is for me. And supporting women and families in this field, it's just like I feel so at home. So I became a doula. And then I became a doula, and I felt I have all of this knowledge of like giving the emotional support and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I also want a little bit more hands-on support. So I learned prenatal massage and closing of the body. So now I feel like mamash. I mean, there's always more to learn. I have lots of plans of what I want to learn more, but I feel like it's very shalem now. I really have like both emotional, can give the emotional support, the the hands-on support, and create this like safe space for women.
One of the
So that's
beautiful
my story, how I got into it.
one of the beautiful things about our field, I think, is that there's always more to learn.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's like it's so amazing because you get this hands-on work, but also you get to study all the time, and it's just amazing. It's so beautiful, this field.
Your passion and expertise just shine through. I love the way you just told us your story of how you got into the field of birth
Thank
support and
you.
a doula. I wonder if we could take it like really nicely into the personal right now, especially because the people who are listening to us and getting a feel for who you are as a doula are people who are hoping to give birth soon in general. So could you tell us a story of a particularly beautiful or transformative birth experience that you witnessed or helped with recently?
It's all beautiful and transformative.
Yes, certainly. You
No,
could,
I know. Like I'll just pick the last ones.
yeah.
I have an idea for like very transformative and the very beautiful. I'll keep it short. I'll tell both of them very, very short. So transformative birth, uh, amazing women. I had the privilege to support. It wasn't her first birth. She had a vaginal birth before. She had a C-section, um, and then she wanted to try for vaginal birth again. Um, and she experienced a lot of obstetrical violence, she had a lot of trauma. It was like very, very difficult stories, very difficult to go through that again through pregnancy, knowing the birth will happen.
Mm,
So we worked a lot on it. We prepared like together what she will take with her to prenatal meeting in the hospital to speak about it, and so on. And the birth happened, and also there are things like, of course, it's birth. Things happen. At some point, we had to work on getting the baby deeper in the pelvis. And long story short, after the birth, something like an hour after the birth, she looks at me and she was like, Lea, this was healing on so many levels. My body needed this. My soul needed this. This was amazing. And I cried.
I feel like crying right now. That's beautiful.
It was like in these moments, they're just like, oh,
The gift of a lifetime, being able to have a healing
and,
experience.
and a very beautiful experience. I had a first time mom who had a water birth. And it just was like so amazing to see her work with her body, and the baby, like you could see that she needed to work with her body so hard because the baby needed to be in a position. But like sometimes you're in these situations as a doula where you're like, okay, this mom is in the water, she moves, she has the space, and then you have to remember, I'm just here to hold this space. Like in these moments, sometimes I take everything out of my birth bag, and you need like a lot of tools. And sometimes the thing you have to do is just like creating the space that this woman like can just like be with her body and work with her body and with her baby. And it was so beautiful to see this, like this pure like animalistic birth of like she knew what she needed.
Yeah.
um it's like I see this birth in my eyes, and I'm like, wow, it was so beautiful. It's difficult to even transfer it. Like it's just like this like picture, this like I remember it. It's
Yeah. Yeah. It's
so
lovely.
beautiful. So beautiful. Birth
It,
is amazing.
yes. Yes, it is. It's, wow, one of the most powerful and instinctual experiences I think that we go through.
Yeah.
If you could give a pregnant woman just one piece of advice, what would it be?
I always find myself in situations that I say, if I have to give you one piece of advice, it's this. And then I say, oh no, it's this. But I think in the end, it comes down to um, take the time you need to find out what you need. I feel like we're rushing so much. Like women have to work until the last day before they give birth. And then the husbands are usually going back already after some days or a week to work. And I mean, it depends where you're from. If you're from the US, the maternity leave is long here, but coming from Europe,
Yeah.
it's very short.
Yes.
So I really think that like we have fears for a reason. We have like things change and we struggle with our bodies for a reason. And like it's signs of that you need to take time to figure out what do I need? What do I need to study to feel more comfortable? What do I need to feel like I can go through this? Also to find out what support do you need? Like what people you want to have with you on this journey. Like take time to figure out what you need. You deserve it.
Yeah.
Like you deserve to pause and figure out what you need.
Yeah.
I think
That sounds like a really useful and important thing for people to think about. Thank you, Lea, for joining us.
you.
Friends, check out the full directory for every interview we've done up until now, housed at my website, growinghappybabies.com. But before you go, I've got one question. Are you the kind of person who learns better by listening or by doing? In my 2-part online prenatal breastfeeding class, The Pocket Prenatal, I blend the basics of breastfeeding with practical hands-on skills. Choose to watch the videos on your computer or phone, read through the transcripts, or pop in an earbud, take a walk, and listen to the audio-only podcast version. After you've dived into the what's and whys of breastfeeding, join part 2, our live hands-on class, where we roll up our sleeves and practice the how of breastfeeding. Experience hand expression, learn how to size yourself for better pumping, practice bottle feeding techniques that improve your baby's sucking skills, and use easy bodywork exercises to help your baby's comfort, sleep, and digestion. You're going to walk out of this class with an essential toolkit for navigating early motherhood. This is the class every baby needs their mother to take. Go to thepocketprenatal.com and use your listener code, growinghappybabies, for a special 10% discount. See you there.